Probably that's not very professional.
All right. Well, we are live. So today, I've got a special treat for you guys. We have Stand in the Park, both of the founders here with us. Very, very blessed to have that with joining us today. And so if you consider yourself awakened in the activist movement in the UK and Australia, and you haven't heard about Stand in the Park yet, where have you been? Really? These guys, this movement has been smashing it. Started in the UK, it's 15th of February, is that right?
I think the first stand was the 21st of February. It's kind of stamped on my brain now.
So there we go, 21st of February. And how many members are we at now? It's well over 25,000, isn't it, on the Facebook?
On the Facebook, yeah.
It's amazing. So yeah, it's really taken off, and it's really what's quite awesome is it's an international movement that started in Australia, and now it's spread to the UK and New Zealand and other places in the world, but it's really taken off in the UK. And we have over 300 stands now, which is very impressive. So yeah, we're just going to get to know you guys a little bit better, find out a bit more about what Stand in the Park's all about and where it could go in the future. So it'd be great to start with you, Brady, as you're the true founder. How does it all start? And did you ever imagine when you started out standing in the park that it would have turned into the movement it has now?
No, absolutely not. And that was more of a personal thing for me when it started. I was going to the big protests and we were all on Facebook and ranting and raving and sharing, and that was great. And I just thought I felt like I wanted to do more. I was sitting at home just feeling like I could do more. I'm not really sure what it was. And then one of my friends at the bigger protests said we should have just stood there because the cops were chasing us around and trying to beat people up. And it was you could have played Benny Hill music at that protest and it would have been a comedy, because it was just, they sort of did this circle thing that they do and then tried to kettle. It would be funny if it wasn't so tragic, but she said we should have just stood there. And then that's what gave me the idea. And I thought just a solid stand. It was just consistent. We wouldn't have any placards. Wouldn't stand for anything. It was just my personal truth. I was just sort of making a stand. So I didn't really have a huge agenda behind it or really any expectation at all. I would have liked some company because nobody fucking came. I stood there for nearly 3 months before anybody came, but I was still happy standing there because I felt like it was just good to do something. And I just knew exactly why I was standing there. There was just intention in that stand. I was just, fuck this. This is my line in the sand. I'm showing my face for what I believe in. And that was all that mattered. And so anything else other than that was a bonus, but watching it grow and watching what it became, because I kind of had a few little sort of rules around it, that we wouldn't have placards, we'd just dress in yellow, it'd be consistent, there would be no organiser, and a lot of the things that sort of I thought of have really come into play. But watching the social side of this is the biggest return that I could have ever possibly imagined. Just watching people connect when we're just losing so much energy in the face of such evil and feeling so lonely in it, to just watch people connect. I mean, this thing saved lives. I'm convinced of it. You just walk away so fulfilled and having had such a strong energy exchange that means so much. It's so potent. And you walk away an inch higher. It's just so important. It's just that's what fills my heart full of love. I couldn't have dreamt of anything more. That's
amazing. And I'm just curious, so how was you telling anybody about it? Like, was you advertising on social media that you was doing this? And so what was the initial feedback? Was people like, you're crazy, what are you doing?
Sorry, I can only hear crickets and tumbleweeds. That's all I can hear. You can't really, because it was all the freedom groups and stuff. And so you can't just post every day. You just won't get approved. And I was a nobody then, sort of thing, so to speak. And so I was just posting in all of them sort of once a week and trying to space it out and just explain what it was. And look, from memory, there was a few likes and stuff, but no real interaction at all. And I don't think people really got it, but once they did, it sort of snowballed really quickly.
So what do you reckon it was that sort of tipped the balance, that people started looking at you and the park? I'm going to join this guy. This looks like fun.
Just probably getting the word a bit more out there. I think there was people out there who would have got it. They just didn't really have access to it. So when Max Egan gave us a shout out,
nice.
That day, three guys came down. I mean, every time they tell that story, they say the look on your face was just priceless.
So you were saying, Max Egan gave you a shout out, and that's what did it. That's amazing. Yeah, he's great.
Two guys came out who are actually really good friends with Max, and every time they tell the story, they say the look on your face was priceless, like a little kid who just made some friends or something, or like I was just standing there by myself in the rain in the park, with a yellow raincoat on, and they walked up, and I was like, "Are you guys here for standing in the park?" They said it was just priceless, your face. And it was great. It was the best feeling ever.
That's amazing. And so then how did it spread to the UK then? What was the cost there?
Do you want to take that one as well, Brady?
Well, it all started in India. I was traveling through India, and this really pretty blonde chick just grabbed me and just couldn't help herself.
Exactly what happened.
I was totally innocent bystander, and she just absolutely grabbed and just ravished me and made me her boyfriend and made me travel like myself. No, we were traveling in India in 2006. Yeah. I was with someone else, and Sophia was with someone else as well. And then she just ditched him and just grabbed me and just wouldn't. No, we both sort of split up with who we were. So we had an amazing journey in through India and Pakistan, up in northern Pakistan, and up in Peshawar, and then I went to Afghanistan, and then Fifi went back to Thailand, I think, didn't you? And so we were travel love. It was awesome. It was so nice.
And so that was how you guys met. And so then I guess there must have been some point after that you Brady, it must have all just been like, hey, do you want to get involved with this? Or how did it come over here from that?
Yeah, how did you find me? Were you stalking me?
He thinks I was Facebook stalking him. Mm-hmm. And so we kind of lost touch for a few years. Braids went back to Australia. I ended up living in Vietnam and Cambodia and just being out in Asia again for quite a long time. And this all kicked off, obviously, last year. And I was on Facebook, like really incognito. I just belonged to one group, and it came up like Brady's profile. So there was a bit of stalking involved. I was like, oh, it's Brady. Let's see what he's doing. And just reams of stuff, calling this whole thing out. And I was like, oh, hallelujah. I'm going to have to get in touch because, there aren't many of us around that are all completely awake to this. So I got in touch, and Brady mentioned this little thing he'd been doing, a stand in the park, and hey, why don't you start one over there? Name your park. I was like, yeah, I'll do that. And I somehow ended up agreeing to pretty much roll it out, didn't I? I don't really remember. It's all a bit of a blur, but all I know is I put my park set up the Facebook group, and the next thing, just being inundated really from day one. I mean, it's sped up even more since then, but it really just took off. Same kind of thing as Brady did. I got it out there on like the freedom group, Save Our Rights were really interested. Great Reopening, of course, as well. And my good friend Mark Devlin gave us a shout out quite early on, and he's got a lot of followers, so that brought loads more people to us. And really, just since then, it's snowballed, and I've counted the stands that I've put out so far this morning as 362.
Oh, that's going up fast. Wow.
I've got a queue in my inbox to get out today, so we're heading towards 400 at the moment. 400
by the end of the week, you reckon?
Oh, come on, guys! It's up to it's doable. Yeah, I'm just getting them out there as soon as they're coming in. So.
And so the first ones that you did, how was it? Was you like Brady standing in the rain for weeks on your own, or was it straight a boom?
No,
it was just everyone there.
Awesome. So my park's St Albans, Verulamium Park, and I thought, okay, it's going to be 3 of us, which is fine because it was all about making our own personal stand. So there was me, one of my sisters, and a good friend coming down from Luton, and I thought, that's great. We've got 3 to start off with, and we were standing there for quite a long time on our own because we hadn't really specified a meeting point. And I was kind of trailing people that had yellow on that had nothing to do with us. Chasing this little boy that had a yellow hat on, and thought, no, this, you know, that's looking a bit suspicious. He had nothing to do with us. But some people rocked up. It was great. We were all having a chat, and we kind of walked around a bit, and there was this huge other group. I actually nearly burst into tears. There were 28 of us on the first stand.
Wow, that's incredible.
I know, and it's been growing ever since. So yeah, I didn't have the Brady experience of standing on my own, but I was well prepared to do that, definitely. Yeah, it's just gone from strength to strength.
That's really great to hear. Well, it seems that Brady did the hard work of getting it going, and now it's and now it's just it's really exploded. So it's there's quite a potential as well still for the movement to spread to other countries as well. I mean, the situation here in the UK, it's moving out of the lockdowns, but it's still taking a long time, and there's still a lot of healing to be done, and you know, people still need to get back into the idea of being around each other and having fun. So there's a lot of room for Stand in the Park in the UK for sure to keep going, but also, you know, like Europe as well, even Ireland, they're still getting it heavy, man. Like whether you believe the numbers or whatever, they're still in pretty serious lockdowns all over the place. So they could really do with this kind of movement. So
we've got stands in Ireland.
Oh, we've gone into Ireland now. Awesome.
Yeah, we've got
that's great.
I think we've got about 10. I'm not 100% sure. It might be 8, but in Northern Ireland and Éire. So it's spreading and lots of interest coming in.
Yeah, that's good, because I feel bad for that. I don't know if you saw what's recently happened in Northern Ireland, but they seem to be at their breaking point there, and I think they've been in even more of a lockdown here. So hopefully, they can cotton on to this and start meeting up again, because it attracts a very certain crowd. And with all of these lockdown measures in place, I've noticed myself as well, when I'm meeting new people and I'm interacting with people again, it's just, you appreciate it. It's got this magic about it. It's just like, I don't know what it is. Maybe there's been some energy shift. That's why they want to try and stop everyone from seeing each other or something. But no, it's quite magic. So it's really great. You guys are, you know, you got this, you're spearheading this movement, and I'm very excited to see where it's going to go next.
Yeah, so am I, because there's no plan. People ask you, what's the point? Like, what next? I'm like, I don't know. We've done another plan.
Doing its own thing, isn't it? It's very organic, which I think is why it is so popular, because we're not telling people what to do, what to stand for. There's no hierarchy, there's no agenda, and I think that's what's drawn people to it, that kind of freedom.
Yeah, I'd say so.
I think the people like you were just saying, Travis, is the people who are being empowered in this, finding a power in themselves. We're finding a power in ourselves that we probably maybe didn't find before. So when we're stepping into those parks, it's not an over dramatization as though we're stepping into our power. And then to amplify that with those reflections, I keep saying in all my videos, we're all leaders in this. There's no one coming along to save us. We're all as important as each other. And if this is the great awakening, then that's you awakening within yourself to step into. It's not something outside of us. And so it's up to the people who are standing in the park to decide what the stand in the park becomes, or what comes next, because it's their stand, it's their truth, it's their great awakening, it's their power, it's their reflection, and nothing to do with us.
Yeah, I love that. And that's very hard to shut that down. Now that it's gone and it's just got its own alive. How do you stop that? It's so decentralized. There's just, even, you know, if you guys disappeared, people will still be standing in their parks. So it's too late.
Yeah, they would.
Who knows what else? You couldn't. It's already immeasurable, and it will just get more. The waves will just get bigger and more. The ripples will just affect so many things. And I think you're right. Maybe taking that away from people has really woken us up to what's important and what's true for us and what we value most. And people won't let that go. We were tumble dried. We were spun around. We were fucking pinated. We had the sense beaten out of us. We didn't know which way was up by a lot of what was happening, a lot of what the world is still doing. But when you wake up in that, and you see the horizon, you're not going to take your eyes off it. You're just going to own it. at whatever cost. And so I think they might have created a monster inadvertently here.
That's it. Yeah, I would agree. It's like they took a huge gamble with this whole thing, and it could very well backfire, and it does seem to be. I try and, keep my optimist, and I think maybe in 10, 15 or however many years we sort of look back and we're like, well, of course COVID happened in whatever the way manifestation that happened, we would never have got to here if it wasn't for COVID. So that may be pretty brutal in some parts, but I think in the long term, yeah, I think it's could have many positives, especially for people that are willing to step into their power and own them, and they actually are awake and they're on this sort of path. I think these kind of people are going to get more and more empowered as the time goes on. And unfortunately, anyone who still buys into the narrative wholesale is going to go in the opposite direction, in my opinion. So hopefully we can get...
And I think you can only forge this out of adversity. People only really unite in true adversity, and spoiltness or affluence actually seems to drive people apart. That's why people seem a lot happier in poorer countries. You really find yourself in adversity. I remember years ago watching, I think it was a documentary about the ladies who ran London basically through the war. And a lot of those ladies, that was the best time of their lives because they had a common purpose. It was about more than them. They were doing it for the boys. They all had a role. They were in a community. It really unites people, adversity. And it's kind of true. The only time you speak to somebody at the bus stop in the city is when the fucking bus is late. And then you're chatting to each other and you see them the next day, you're like, yeah, we went to war together. That was 40 minutes late. We stood in the rain. It really does crystallize people, adversity, unfortunately. And it crystallizes us individually as well. I mean, that depression that I went through was the best thing that ever happened to me. I would never have found all of the answers and found this person that I liked so much if I hadn't have gone through that. You kind of need to get squeezed to pop out the other side.
Did you want to talk a little bit about that specifically? That little, it was a dark night of the soul that you went through, basically.
Yes, it was. That's a very poetic way of putting it. Yes, I like your style. Yeah, probably. I mean, I was never a very happy child at all, just from whatever normal things. We've all got them, and that sort of really compounded, I guess, right before I went travelling, which is so Fifi probably copped a bit of the brunt of that. But when it's time to change, you'll get squeezed into change, and there's actually no such thing as depression. There's only resistance of depression. So when you find a bigger space, then that depression is still there. All of those reasons or whatever, all of those feelings are still there, but they're just not as powerful because you found a bigger space to step into by letting them be there. There's actually no such thing as depression. There's only resistance of depression, and there's no such thing as the lonely person that I was. I didn't have the space to make friends, kind of thing. And so in my experience, it's only really spiritual answers, whatever that means to a particular person, that can solve that, because you just have to find a bigger space. You can't solve that stuff. You just have to move into somewhere where it is, and then that really empowers itself, and then you move out of it. But it's the best thing that ever happened to me. The best thing that ever happened to me.
That's amazing. Yeah, and this is credible as to how the hardship can forge people, and I can relate myself. I had a hardship, and then I went traveling, and so my life completely changed. And I don't know if I never went through those dark parts of my life, would I have ever appreciated, having like abundance or, good times and stuff like that. And then you begin, it's like life becomes a bit deeper when you start to, get to know yourself a bit more and get to know more about your reality. And you mentioned spirituality, and I think it's even being like a on the boots ground activist, spirituality is actually very useful for that, having a connection to God and all that kind of stuff. And and you can ask for protection and guidance, and that can be very useful for just a nuts and bolts on the ground sort of thing. You know what's going on behind the scenes there. So very interesting you mentioned that, and I'm noticing as well, and I wonder what you guys think, but as opposed to like your activist protest group that marches into London for freedom, Stand in the Park, although people can be involved with that as well, it seems like a bit more of a spiritual movement. It's a little bit softer, it's a little bit more feminine, it's a little bit more slow burning, but going to keep going. You know what I mean? It's not like if I compare it to the Great Reopening, it was just like boom, explosion, done. Just whoosh. But this is like a like a slow, gradual, and it's going and it's really you see it go. So
it's about the individual, isn't it? That's why it's like Brady's talked about this so much. and for good reason, is it's a personal stand that we're making. It's great to have loads of people coming along, and you know, that's wonderful, but this is not about just a social, you know, like a jolly in the park. It's making your stand. You've drawn your line, you said no more, and it is an energetic thing, and it is very personal. People have got very different reasons for standing. They've gone through different things. They might be focused on different aspects of this. They might have been affected in different ways, but everyone's kind of coming together to do that. But it's very much about stepping into your own power, because we're all going to be tested in this. You know, we're not going to be able to hide behind other people. As much as absolutely there's power in numbers, we all can only face the fear on our own. No one else can do that for you. So when you kind of make that decision, and it can be quite scary, you know, yeah, it's just going to the park, but when you've got police coming along and giving you hassle for being there, that's so confronting for some people. And for them to come out the other side and be like, wow, my God, I've just gone through that, and it does something. It is that kind of growth through adversity. You realise what you're made of, because most of us, like, we've never had any issues with the police. You know, we've had, it's just not been a part of our lives at all, and suddenly it's like, wow, my God, we're being questioned, they're trying to break us up, and people really find out what they're made of. And it's amazing, you're seeing this coming out in people at these stands, like really coming out of their shell, and they will then go out into the world and they're going to live their life differently. They're not the same person they were before. And when you've got that happening en masse, that's what's going to change all of this. It's going to be every individual stepping into that power, realizing what they're made of, and that we can do this. And when you get those people together, that's it. It's done.
And I think people are noticing that as well. The police aren't actually that scary once you've been through the process, you know. Once you've actually maybe been in cuffs or arrested or something or whatever, and then you come out of it and you're like, oh, it's nothing. it's all just smoke and
still alive.
Yeah, it's still alive. And like I use my own example. I got a fine 5 weeks ago. I got arrested and de-arrested, and it hasn't ever turned up. I never received this fine. So I'm sure that, you know, people are realizing that, and if people, you know, lose the fear of the police getting arrested, especially if they know in themselves they're not actually doing anything wrong, like they're not, that standing, being around human beings is not a crime, it's not breaking the law. So yeah, people realize that and they become empowered. And I think there's one of Brady's lines, it was we're training soldiers in lattes in yellow shirts
and whatever.
And that's so true on multiple levels. And but you mentioned the energetic side there as well, and also just want to touch on this because I'm sure you guys would like to mention this as well, is why the stand is at 10 a.m.
Over to you, Brady.
Because it's at fucking 10 a.m. and get over it, and that's it. There's no perfect time, and so Saturday's harder because there's more sport and stuff on. It's obviously not going to be a weekday night, so it kind of really has to be Sunday afternoon. People are winding down, they're thinking about work tomorrow, the footy might be on, they've been out all day. Sunday morning, a bit earlier would be too early, but 10 a.m. gives people a chance to spend the Sunday doing other stuff. And so I'm sorry that rules out a few people who go to church. That's the only thing, that's the only group that I sort of truly feel like might be missing out. But for anybody who can't be bothered getting out of bed,
you're not going to cut it. You're just not going to make it.
Not for you.
I was going to abuse people, but no, I was just, I'll be nice. Just get out of bed. You got a lot more drama coming than getting out of bed, that's for sure.
Okay.
It makes you feel like you've achieved something when you look. There have been mornings when I've thought, oh my God, I would so love a lion, but I'm definitely going to get myself over there. And every time oh, thank God I did that, because it does raise you up.
even when I was doing it by myself, I was driving an hour into the city and standing there by myself and driving an hour back and coming home feeling great. There's something about that intention. You got to give. You just got to give your beliefs and passion, I guess, or something. Like you've got to give it weight. You just have to move your body to give that weight. And critical mass is a very small. It's only 10% or whatever critical mass, but it's got to have mass. You've got to be full and whole and have intention in yourself to join other people who are full and whole intention to create a mass. Otherwise, it's just a bunch of hot air on the seesaw. You can have 100%, but if there's no intent in it, and so it's just using that intention.
Yeah, and I reckon there's something to it as well. I mean, obviously there's a time difference between countries, but you know, if everyone's doing it at the same time, I think that has, you know, some sort of an impact as well. You know, you're all sort of setting that intention at the same time, doing this thing, and it's like this, like a routine or a tradition, a ritual sort of thing. And you know, that could, and as well, I mean, this is, you know, this potential apocalyptic scenario, but it was also talked about how, you know, if shit hit the fan, you know, you go to your park at 10 a.m. people will be there Sunday.
Yeah.
That was part of the original idea. Is that you could always find your people in every park dressed in yellow at 10 a.m. in Sundays, and it'll come to that. I mean, they're already talking about the vaccination for the cyber virus.
It's a new one for me.
Yeah, Klausy Schwab, lovely chap.
Yeah,
good people, the Schwabs. It's lovely. Yeah, talking about the vaccination for the cyber virus. You couldn't even make this up. We're living in a fucking sci-fi movie.
Yeah.
The only thing these guys are missing is a black cat and a claw.
Yeah. That'll be next.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, we just need the superheroes, the good guys to come out and combat the evil Sith Lord that is Klaus Schwab.
That's us.
And that is us.
Yeah.
That is the Yellow Warriors.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think it's what you were saying before is true, and this will stay fluid because of that. It can very easily move and then regather, and then and people sort of branch off and come back and move parks, and it's a very fluid movement rather than almost static. Even if it's a march in the city, it's still a very static laser beam style protest that gives the authorities a direction for their resources, and gives the cameras a direction for the media direction for their cameras. Whereas this can just open up and shut down and pop up and pop back down, and it doesn't really have an organizer, and so it's quite a fluid. It's not even a protest, and it's not even really a stand. It's a collective. It's just a collective of, keep imagining fish or something, and that can sort of just dart and duck and regroup in a school, and safety in numbers.
And it's very hard to I don't know if you saw the video, Brady, but over here we had a really good clip of maybe about 50 people doing the hokey cokey.
Oh, of course.
Yeah. Everyone saw that.
That's very hard to spin that in the media as, you know, these bad, terrible people, you know, gathering in a park. You just can't. That's just so innocent.
And everyone in that park doing whatever is going to be a martyr if they start picking on us. I mean, you're going to piss people off who aren't even pissed off right now. To start arresting grannies with purple hair, with Pomeranians. Like, they're looking at us going, what the hell are we going to do here? They have no idea what to do with us. They can't target 360 parks. They can't arrest people for wearing yellow. They're scratching their head.
Love it. So yeah, we look talking about going into maybe Europe and that. Did you want to talk a little bit about potentially a website that you're thinking about building? Because that sounded quite interesting.
So we've started on it. We've just got to get off. You're on borrowed time on the socials. I mean, it's prostitution on the socials. You're just selling your soul on there, and it's great, and I love it. It's amazing. And it's just a shame that all of this stuff can't be used for good, not evil, but that's the way it is. So we just we need a website to get people's email addresses off and give us a center point, because you can just vaporize. Tuesday afternoon at 3:34, you're just gone, and we've seen it so many times. 120,000 people just vaporize. You just can't recreate that. Whereas if you're working off the platform of a site and you've got everyone's email addresses, you can recreate it in a couple of days. So yeah, we're building a site, and
good. Yeah, and I've seen that it's such a bittersweet victory or feeling to have such a big following on like Facebook or Instagram or YouTube, because it can just disappear at the drop of a hat. So a website is definitely the right way to go, and love to see it. And you was talking, did you want to talk a little bit about the features, or did you want to keep that a secret for now? Because there's something you showed me the last time we spoke that looked really awesome. Did you want to talk about that?
Oh, they're not sure if they can do it, so let's just keep it on.
Okay. Is it a bit too much? Or
I hope not, because it'd be great. But just stay tuned.
Stay tuned. Okay, more to be released. Amazing. So, is there anything else you'd like to say to the public about A Stand in the Park and what you stand for, or anything else for you guys?
Just get the word out. Keep the words spreading. We've got our first stand starting in the States.
Oh, that's exciting.
Yeah, so that's awesome. I'm in contact with a woman that's getting hers going in Texas. We've got stands in Spain and Portugal, which we're kind of like focused on getting stuff spreading across Europe now as well.
So is it now Europeans have found the email and they're emailing you? Is that how it's building up there now?
Yeah, it's kind of getting out there. There are quite a few expats out in Spain and Portugal, so they've been invited to the group through other people and things like that, and it's kind of got out there that way. But yeah, I've been getting inquiries from people from all over, and it's just kind of words of mouth, and someone's passed something on to them, and things are being published all over the place that we don't even know now where these things are, but it's out there. But really, the dream would be to just have the world map and see all these stands everywhere and everyone just standing 10 to 11 Sunday in their yellow t-shirts or whatever.
Incredible, wouldn't it? You could just see, like, it would start, you'd have the Sunday, and it would start in New Zealand, then you'd see Australia, and then you just see like the whole, you just watch the whole world. That'd be really cool.
Yeah.
Maybe once in the future you could get that literally just 24 hours of stand or something. That'd be amazing.
Yes. How cool would that be?
Yeah.
And that's the way to get the most out of this. It's great. Even just one is great, but it's also awesome what's happening here. But when the whole world is sort of covered, and you look at those sort of pinpoints of a spider's web, energetic pinpoints, and the whole world is covered in those, then they connect together all around the world, and then you can really, then you've got the connection that would compound and amplify the people power that we've sort of created here. And so if anybody's anywhere in the world, just start a stand, and people will come, and so don't be scared or anything, but it's really important that we just got to step up here. People power is the only thing that's going to make a difference in this. It's the only thing. And it'll be over in a heartbeat. If everybody stepped into their personal truth and power, this is over today. If we just walked out the front right now and said, you know what, fuck this, and just and got on with our lives, and it's done. And so this is the first part of that. And there's power in it.
I agree. I love it. And so what's could you guys want to just refresh everyone's memory, or if someone hasn't heard it yet, for the email for contact for setting up any stands?
Yeah, so people can email me at astandintheparkuk@protonmail.com. So we will have other emails set up at some point, but at the moment it's easier for them to all just come through the one to me.
And as for expanding into other countries as well, would you be interested if there are people that could help with some of the organizing in any kind of way? Would you be interested in that? Like maybe if there's someone in Germany who could step up and maybe run a page, like a German page, maybe they should get in touch as well, right? You'd be interested in talking with those kind of people?
Yeah, anyone who's able to help. Obviously we've got the language barrier once we get into Europe. I've got some German, but it's not great. I've got enough to kind of
they'd have to be
communicate. My French is shocking, so it'd be great to have people that are are able to kind of communicate
The
effectively.
translators as well, yeah.
Yeah.
Translators.
Yeah.
Yeah, and being a collective, this doesn't belong to me or Fifi or anyone. It doesn't belong to anyone. The parks don't belong to anyone. This is just a collective, and so we need country founders. We're not looking to own this or brand it or do anything other than just unite people. And anybody who does try to own it is just going to get chewed up because of what it is. And so, yeah, we need all the help we can get everywhere we can get it to work together. We're all leaders in this. No one's. And so we need people to step up and empower others, definitely, for sure. And it's this, people still sort of kind of get what stand in the park is, but still ask. And so I think when we talk about personal truth all the time, because everyone that's sort of standing for personal truth with intention for freedom and stuff. And I think it's just important that people understand that their personal truth is different to my personal truth and Fifi's and Travis's, and everyone's got their personal truth, and that is could be something in the physical, like I'm really against lockdowns, and my friend got a vaccination injured kid, and there's all these things that are true for us, but there's also what we're willing to give up for what in that. And so when we're standing in this park for our own personal truth, we're standing as a physical marker for where we're at emotionally, spiritually, for ourselves, because of those reasons in the physical, standing next to people who've almost sometimes got entirely different values or passions or beliefs, but we're all standing for each other's freedom. And I've said it 1,000 times, I'll say it 1,000 times more, is that when you're standing for each other's freedom, we don't want to live in, we celebrate diversity. We don't want to live in a world where everyone's me or Travis or Fifi. We celebrate each other's diversity. I want to live and learn and grow and benefit from other people and their personal truth. And so when we're standing next to each other, even if we disagree with each other, we're fighting for each other's freedom, and we're brother and sister as far as I'm concerned. I love you, and we're standing together for each other, and I celebrate the fact that you are a dickhead and you think I am.
Can I just add one little thing?
Please.
That's why being in the physical is so important. I just put out a video the other day about, online is not real life. And the people that are bickering with each other, I can almost guarantee if they actually met in a park, and yeah, of course, people have differing opinions, but these arguments and things that seem to divide and they escalate online, in the physical, we're all here for the same reason. Whether we've got slightly different views on things, we're all here because we're standing for freedom. And, whatever our personal views are, we're here for the same thing. So being in the physical is what it's all about. And that's why Brady started it, isn't it? Get people together.
Yeah, and it's true. You could speak to the same people for 1,000 hours online and get far more return and far more, just immeasurable what the difference between just standing with those people for an hour and having a chat and just an actual physical energy exchange. It's as important as food and water.
Yeah.
We just got to be around each other. We just need, and you feel it physically when, especially in something like this that's so potent, or maybe when you haven't sort of had it for a while, you just feel that energy that just comes from other people, and just that circulation of just feeling valued and getting value it's so important. And you look at that, I think was it Hitler that did that experiment where he took the babies that were born and put them in one room and they weren't touched, but the other babies were held and fed the same thing. And I think all of the babies, or a lot of the babies, or in the one room that didn't get touched died, or they went back and checked the ones that lived later and they had health problems or something. I can't remember the exact result of the experiment, but there was really sort of differing results from just these little kids that were held and these kids that just weren't at all. So important. And that's why they're doing this. That's why they're trying to keep us 2 meters apart. That's why they're trying to lock us down, to break our spirits. They know how important that is. Yeah,
man. Because they said that the bad guys, the people working against humanity, they know how important it is for humans to be around each other and see their smiles and touch and hug. And so, yeah, that's it. For the part of the control game is to keep people isolated. That's why, solitary confinement in a prison is a serious punishment. So that's basically the same thing with all the house arrests. So getting together, meeting up is huge defiance of that, which is amazing. And it wouldn't be the same if it was a Zoom in the park, would it? It'd have to be you there in the physical.
And
A revolutionary act now.
Yeah.
To meet in the park together. We're revolutionaries.
Who would have thought? And just the fact that it's in the park, I'd never really given that any consideration. I just thought that's probably the best place to do it. But you couldn't really do a sit in the cafe. This wouldn't work if it was somebody's house. Just the fact that it's in a park and it's so accessible and so free and in nature, it makes the whole thing really. It's kind of the glue that holds the whole thing together. I've never really considered that until recently, but the park is a nice place to be to do this.
It is. It's like there's parks everywhere. You couldn't do a stand in the beach because not everyone has a beach. A stand in the woods, not everyone has woods. But nearly everybody, I'm sure, has a park close to them. So
and no walls means it's sort of easily accessible and easily retreatable from, and so it's very non-threatening in that sense. And
indeed. So everybody, if you haven't already, start getting down Sunday 10 a.m. to your stand in the park. If there is not a stand in your local area and you want to find one out, give these guys an email and we'll get it all sorted for you. And so really great to have you guys on. So how can we find you if we haven't already got connected with you? Where can we find a stand in the park?
I'll be lurking around parks just in general, just hiding behind trees. So you'll see me. You'll see me.
In your yellow. We're on Facebook, Telegram, Twitter, YouTube, Gab, Instagram. I think that's it, isn't it, at the moment?
Yeah, and there's a few different Facebook pages. There's an Australia page, there's a UK page, there's a Canada page, USA page, and so on and so forth. And then there's a group, because I had no idea when I was setting this up, and none of us did. So it's a bit of a higgledy-piggledy, but the main page is just called A Stand in the Park, and that's just a page. And so all of my videos go up on there. Mm-hmm. It's a dog's breakfast. But anyway, we're around. You'll find it.
Just have a search around the Facebook, have a search around the parks, you'll find us. And can we just get a look at those lovely yellow shirts you guys are wearing there?
Oh, 1 second. I don't know if you can.
There we go, guys. They're available for purchase.
Yours is bigger than mine.
Anybody wants that?
Yours bigger.
I stand for freedom, stand in the park. Look at that. Very cool.
Yeah, and there's people using smiley faces, and I sort of asked around because there's a couple of people in Australia in the freedom sort of groups using them, and I was like, did you start using that? No one, everyone stole it from everyone. And so I just stole it as well. Yeah, but it worked.
You can't copyright smiley face, right?
No.
Apparently there was a dude who invented it though. Someone posted, I think it was in the UK. It was the guy who invented it.
Yeah, the guy. I can't remember his name, but he looked really miserable.
Oh no.
He's like frowning, designing this.
I thought it was actually Forrest Gump. I thought the movie was real.
Yeah.
You know when he wipes his face.
I haven't seen that.
Oh, right. He wipes his face in the smiley faces.
Yeah.
I seem to remember it being something to do with the rave. I don't know why. It reminds me of
it was acid. It was the acid house movement.
Ah, okay.
That's when it really took
off.
Having
a rave in the park.
It was like the late 80s. So a lot of people.
I know nothing about that kind of thing.
10 o'clock in the morning, boom, boom.
You're smiling faces.
For freedom.
Those are the days.
Okay, great guys. Well, I really enjoyed having you on, and
cheers.
Have to do it again in the future. We'll touch base and keep up the good work, and amazing what you guys are doing. It really is. Yeah,
and same with you with the Great the Great Reopening. Awesome, and thanks for your help on the stands. Been great.
Pleasure. Absolutely love it. Cheers, guys. Nice one. See ya.
Cheers. Bye.
Okay.